Let's do it. Let's do it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Business Shenanigans. It's Kathy Klotz-Guest. And with me, as always, is the beautiful, gorgeous Kerry Gorgone. Look at how gorgeous she looks, too. She's only red.
This is like a poncho. It's like an attractive sweater poncho.
She's just trying to make me feel less bad about the fact that I didn't get all fancy, but...
You always look good, girl. You always look really put together. So I don't know if you do that every day, if that's like a thing.
No.
It's not a thing where I'm from.
No. No. But it's nice that you think so. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
I'm in Nashville now, and they are put together like a lot, like even at the gym and stuff. Yeah, everybody's like the women look good. They look really well, like made up and everything. Hair is good.
Stepford wife-ish.
Except for that, yeah, well, sort of, but like real polite and with boots.
Okay.
Not at the gym. I mean, not like cowgirl boots at the gym, but like full hair and makeup at the gym.
Wow. Yeah. That's a little bit more that I can commit to at the gym. I'm more like I got sweatpants on, and I'm lucky if I put on some lipstick to not scare the kids.
Oh, man. That looks some bad news at the gym. I don't know. I just feel like it's an accomplishment that you even roll up there.
Oh my God. It's the fact that I'm even there and have a smile on my face is like, that's like, you know, I feel like it's asking too much for me to look good while I'm doing it and sweating.
It's true.
Like, you should just be lucky that, like, you know, I'm not like feeling stabby.
It's like it's an investment in looking good at a future time.
It kind of is. Yeah, no, it is. It totally is. It's like, I'm not here to look good. I'm here to get in shape so that later on I can look good.
Right.
That's it. That's it. That's it. No, we're good.
I was thinking about it. Like, that makes sense.
Makes total sense. It makes total sense. Shall we chat?
I'm always up for a chat. I'm just getting the link from this, so I can actually put it. We should probably put it over on Facebook. So if people wanted to come talk to us,
is it live? Is it live?
Well, I mean, we're live, so.
Oh yeah.
Did you not know that? I should have asked you some.
No. I know it's live. It's just because we're using. Well, it really doesn't matter. It's just because I didn't know if. Yeah, never mind. I didn't know if people could see it if they had the link, but I guess they can, right? So I don't know. I don't know.
It's public, but I don't have as many followers on YouTube, I guess.
I'm a sophisticated Luddite. What can I say?
That's dangerous.
It's beyond dangerous. It's what it is. It's what it is. Oh my goodness.
Here.
Mm-hmm. All right.
All right, I just shared. I didn't say what we're talking about because we're not talking about anything yet. So I just put it out on Facebook.
Okay.
And I tagged you. So.
Let me see. Okay.
Get involved.
I'm going to totally put that out here. All right. Let's do this. Let's do this.
That's so funny. Like, we're just going to wait for people.
Yeah. I know.
So,
okay, girl.
Tell me, you've been doing some interesting stuff about like teams and communication. Let's talk about that and like how it impacts innovation and stuff like that. I mean, it's a broad topic, but it's such an important topic.
All right. Well, you know, it's interesting because you and I both work in the, well, this link ain't working and I don't know why. Sorry, it's not working. I don't know. But I don't know what's going on.
We broke the internet. It's finally happened.
I broke it. But let me while we're figuring that out, because I broke the internet. I mean, it was bound to happen. Oh yeah, let's talk about that. One of the things is I think as folks who, you know, do a lot of work with content teams, I think we put so much emphasis on creating the content and the stories and getting the marketing strategies right that we forget sometimes to back up and look at the culture in that team that's doing the creation and ask ourselves, is it working right? And one of the things that I'm discovering this in the last year, I'd say, is that in working with teams, a lot of the human dynamics that you'd expect in any team are popping up. And it's funny because I'll talk to executives and they're like, oh yeah. No, we just, it's great. Everyone's innovating. Things are great here. You talk to the team and they're like, no, it's not. It's awful. It's, you know, and sometimes it's not that dire, but there's always this disconnect that happens between sort of the executives and their perception of it and the people who are doing the actual work. And more I'm finding that we need to back up and establish the rules of engagement. So a lot of the work that I do is, and a lot of it comes from improv, because improv teams have to have rules of engagement. We collaborate in ways that are having each other's backs. And so what I'm finding is that a lot of these rules for innovation and how we relate to each other, how do we talk to each other, how do we agree that, you know, we're not going to judge each other in certain contexts of idea generation, these all come into play for how teams can work better together. And it's no different. It's no different than, you know, how you do anything innovative in any company. I think it's just, we put so much emphasis as marketers on the writing or the ideas or the idea generation. And I don't think that's really, in my experience, what I'm seeing where the biggest problems are.
I was just talking to somebody for the Marketing Profs podcast, and now I wish I could remember who it was. I feel like it was Dave Burst, who just wrote a great book about how to get you great ideas, like all about creativity and kind of that stuff. But he was saying that you have to let people take a risk. So you would give them like a take a risk card, not a permission to fail card, because that feels, you know, negative, but permission to take a risk, and thereby, you know, give them the confidence they need to try something that they just can't know yet if it's going to work or not, you know, but they feel a little more, you know, supported in trying things that aren't documented successes already, you know?
Totally. And we, you know, whether you call it, you know, frame it permission to fail, or you call it taking a risk. And you know, I still think permission to fail is still fairly positive. I think it comes down to this, is that people don't know what risks they can take. And we just assume that people, when we say, hey, go innovate, people go, okay, I'll get rid of all that. And they don't really know what that means because they don't have, you know, what are the rules of engagement? How much can they experiment? Like is there an agreed on definition of what that is, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know that most people would agree on what that looks like. Executives seem to think that the teams know, and teams are saying, but we don't know, because it's never been told to us what is an acceptable failure, how far can we stretch, and it's just, I think the degrees of freedom just are never discussed or laid out. So I think that's the disconnect. And so we keep saying to everybody, go take a risk, and teams are going, okay, tell me more.
So this is kind of fun. We usually do this on Facebook, and so we haven't been able to have people like actually come in before, but somebody clicked our link and just like crashed our hangout, which I think is awesome.
Hey.
Well, I muted them, and because I was like going to get back because you were talking, and then they left. You left. I think maybe he wanted to watch, and instead he was like thrown into it as a participant, so we need a different link or something.
That's true. I'm totally cool with if somebody wants to crash or that's.
I know, right? I was too. I was like gonna say something to him, and he's gone.
He's gone. Well, he can watch us later, and he can maybe we'll have him come back on a later thing. But
but I know that people that they say they want innovation, there's no company that's like, I don't want to innovate, you know, you shouldn't have any ideas. But then you bring up an idea and they're like, well, that won't work because this, or yeah, that's a good idea, but we can't because that. And it's super negative. Like you can only hear a polite no so many times before you're like, well,
shut down.
Yeah, you should bother.
Well, that's yes, but versus yes, and it's the fundamental crux of what improv is all about. And it's why I relate so much to this issue is that you're right. Everyone says they want it. And then how many times are people told, well, we don't do that here, or that won't work, or we tried that and it didn't, you know, there's always a reason to shut people down. And after a while, you're right. People just go, F this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stop trying. And I think that is the fundamental disconnect. I think at a strategic level, we're all like, yeah, marketing's got to be better. Marketing's got to be more human. I mean, marketing's got to be this. And I'm all bought into all those things. And yet we're not doing the work at the team level, at the human dynamics level, to make sure we close that gap. And that's the biggest thing that I see. So a lot of my work lately has been focused around this idea of how do we get teams to work better together, and what is the agreement, what is the pact, because it really is about supporting each other's ideas. And that's where I think all that good stuff from improv in my background comes in, because it's fundamentally about supporting a culture of trust and yes and collaboration. And you're not sitting there shooting each other's ideas down faster than like, a drunk person at a at a carnival.
Wow. Well, people have often said that necessity is the mother of invention, and we were here trying to figure out how to get this show live, and Be Live wasn't working. And we're like, well, hell, let me try like 5 or 6 different other things, and then we're like, and here we are, right? And like I shared the link to the Hangout, and that poor dude probably was just going to check it out, and then it was like thrown into it, got all panicked and stuff. So I went and just got the view link, and I just changed the Facebook post so now it has a view link.
Okay.
I hope.
Okay.
I hope I don't know.
We're trying, and this is a really good example.
Yes, we had to do it.
This is a great example of being thrown into the fire. And it works great when both people or all the people involved are like, yeah, let's figure it out, versus, well, I didn't like that, or that didn't work. And then it's like, okay, yeah, some stuff isn't going to work. Not every idea a team has is going to be viable. The point is to open the team up to get the best out of them. And I'm afraid most teams that I see lately really struggle with that. So we have to put more emphasis on being better partners. Yeah.
What about the ta-da mentality, where because I've seen this a lot, where upper management comes out of some closed door meeting that's gone on for a week, and they're like, great news, everyone, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And you're like, and nobody really feels comfortable saying, no, this seems like a bad idea, because by then, upper management's so invested in it, they're not going to tell you that they think it's not a super idea.
That is really a big issue too, is that we've created these communication gaps where if we're not supporting people's ideas, then people fundamentally are afraid to speak up when they must. And we also look at it wrong. The person who is the skunk at the party is told, don't be the skunk at the party. Well, there's times to be the skunk at the party. You don't want to be that jackwad that like is the self-proclaimed devil's advocate. Excuse me, Susan, I'm going to be devil's advocate here for a second. It's like, no, shut it. But someone at some point, if we don't create an environment where people can speak up when they have concerns, people won't do it. And that is such a dangerous thing. It's such a dangerous thing.
Yeah, see, it brings me back to Die Hard, Kathy, where Bruce Willis says, the monkey in the wrench, pain in the ass. Like, sometimes you have to be that.
You have to be that. And we have to have a culture of trust that says, look, everyone's looking out for each other in the best possible way. But you can only get to that point of being the monkey in the wrench if you have enough trust and you've earned that. And that takes working together and knowing when you can do it and how to do it. It's also how to do it. Don't be the the ass wife that's like, that sucks and that won't work. Yes, and your idea sucks. But Kathy, I yes anded the person, because there's always that person, right?
Yep.
And that's not what we're talking about. But it is, if you create enough of that environment of trust, when people do smell something bad, they're going to know it's okay, that the company has their back if they speak up.
Mm-hmm. But I think, though, excess is possible on either side, because other people might talk forever and never do anything if permitted. And it's like, this isn't a perfect idea because, whatever. And then you never get anywhere either. So you need like a happy medium. Like, this is open for discussion, and in 10 minutes, the discussion will end and we'll do something.
You totally. And so I was working with a company over the summer, and they have a wonderful saying in their department and in their company. Actually, it's company wide, and I love this so much. It's disagree and commit. There is a point of time where everybody gets their disagreements on the table or their concerns. It's, and it elevates a conversation to, well, here's my concern with the idea. First, you get all the ideas out. You're not, trying to fix it while you generate it. And then you raise concerns. And then at some point, everybody votes, and the ideas that get the votes and people think are viable enough, all right, the time for disagreement is past. Now we need to double down and commit. And even if you don't agree with the idea and you didn't vote for it, if it got the majority vote, that's what we're going to explore. So you commit at that point to do everything in your power to help move an idea forward in the best possible way. So I love that. I love that. Yes, and to get the ideas out, and then disagree and commit. Because you can't go on and on forever. But once that idea is voted, your commitment is to make sure that idea is successful. You've had that time to be a naysayer, and you can't be a naysayer, the whole time.
What about situations where you've already got, like, they've already done their ta-da and maybe it doesn't go so well, and now it's like, oh no, now we need some new ideas. And then the temptation, and it comes from a good place, I think, to like want to fix things, is they go back to the drawing board and come back out with like more ideas instead of inviting kind of a richer dialogue with an open mind about what to do. So, I mean, what happens there where they've committed, right? And maybe they need to now change their mind or like open to some alternate approaches.
Yeah. And that happens a lot. I think one of the things that I really recommend in those cases is at some point there needs to be the bottoms up and the top down approach, and they need to meet in the middle. So there has to be a point where you are talking to the people closest to the customer and getting their feedback. But you and I, admit feedback can't go on forever and ever, because there'll be some people that never be shutting up. So you have to, what? Shut? So, you lie, girl.
Nobody in here.
Up. Who dat? So you're gonna have to just understand that, there's gonna be a time for like, all right, does anybody have that concern? And are we looking at the full 360? But once that decision has been made, again, I think there has to be a point where you're gonna have to refine the ideas that have the best chances of viability. And then everybody commits to those and move those forward. And I think you're right. I think executives shouldn't be in a huddle without talking to people who have to execute and are affected by those decisions. Get the feedback in the front end, on the front end. So I think all the way up the food chain, there has to be better collaboration. And, even if you're not, a CEO, you're not at that level to influence the discussion, you can influence your microclimate, your team, your immediate team. You can play a part to make it more positive. Because
what's a microclimate? Is it like a regular climate but little?
It's like a climate that's micro, and it is. It's like
climate.
I know, the microclimate. Oh my God. Well, yeah, it's exactly that. It's like all right, there's the big company culture, and then your team has a more immediate culture. And you may not be able to persuade and influence the company culture at that high level. However, I do believe you can influence your immediate team level culture. And I'd say, if you're lucky enough to influence the big thing, great. If you're not, then at least concentrate on where you can be a better team partner. Because there is nothing worse than feeling like your team does not have your back. Like, that's the worst feeling. The worst effing feeling. And that's like being in an improv group and you're out there and you need somebody to come out and join you, and nobody comes out, and you're like, hello, we're all in this together, and nobody's.
You're tap dancing.
You're tap dancing, but no one's listening, or they swat away your offer, or they deny, or they block, and all these terms that we use in performance. And it comes down to this: people not having your back. And I think that happens way too much in corporate, way too much.
But no one's going to do good work. No one's going to turn things around or, really grow exponentially if they're just going to sit around and talk shit about each other.
Nope, nothing. That can't happen. That cannot happen. And that's where I think you really have to kind of crack down on that stuff. And the rules are engagement. And if you're in an idea mode with executives, executives have to adhere to the same rules, I think. And I've done these kinds of meetings with teams, and I'll say, look, okay, guys and gals, up the food chain, you're bound by the same rules here. We're going to yes and each other. We're going to converge. We're going to diverge. Then we're going to converge around the ideas that have the best chance of success. And then once we've gotten, that whittled down even further and vetted our concerns, your job is to just like everybody on the team, no different, to support those ideas. And everyone buys into, and I think one of the things that's really interesting is that if everybody buys into the rules, you get agreement, people tend to feel more vested. And that can happen. It's a really easy discussion. It's just we don't do it.
So when you do a workshop or something like that, do you do improv exercises with the people there, like with the office teams and stuff?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do. It's a great question. We do improv exercises to up front to help people understand the power of like yes-anding and the power of having people's backs. And we do that and we ease them into that. And then we segue from that to collaborating and getting the ideas out on the table. And then we'll do maybe a third round, which is to whittle those ideas down to the most viable. So there's a process for understanding team dynamics. Let's get the team dynamics agreed on. Then there's the process of the, idea generation. And then there's the follow-up of let's all together have a say, but let's all support the process where we narrow down the funnel. And when you get agreement up front and you walk people through the pieces, it's just an easier way to do it. But and those are the kinds of things that I think shouldn't happen just down the food chain. It should be at the executive level too, because my God.
That'd be the worst. Can you imagine you do this whole like super fun improv thing, you come up with all these ideas and you're super excited about them, and then management's like, what's all this crap?
So the stupid. No. Yes, and
no.
We're gonna say no. I said yes and can.
Yes, if you can do it for no budget.
For nobody, exactly. It's interesting. That's when you need to get executives involved in that kind of stuff. And it's funny because I've worked with executive teams and I've worked with product and content and engineering teams. And executive teams are very funny because, man, it's kind of a foreign concept. They all like to argue and get their agenda on the table, but sometimes it's because they're rewarded and they're incentivized with these competing agendas versus having agendas that are in alignment, which would be, that's a whole other discussion, which is if we're going to really do this right, let's talk about rewarding behavior we want to see. So let's, maybe their bonuses should all come, 80% of the bonuses should come from company performance. Duh. Not individual business unit objective where they're all competing with each other. Mm. But it's interesting to do. It's interesting to do these kinds of exercises with executives because some executives get it, and then they'll tease each other. But I think it's really eye-opening for them to be able to go, well, if you're doing that in here, imagine the mixed messages you're sending down the food chain. Like you can't even agree here. And a lot of them, they laugh nervously. But it's an interesting exercise. And I think that's where to me, that's the most interesting work, because I don't think it's that teams aren't creative. Teams are inherently creative. It's just the bullshit behind the scenes that makes it hard to do these ideas. They have tons of ideas. It's not that they're not doing the ideas because they're not creative. It's because of all this other crap. The fear
you need to strip that away.
You gotta strip it away. You gotta strip it away. You gotta pull it away. You gotta
wax on, wax off.
You gotta strip it down, baby. You gotta strip it down. Yeah.
If you put that on the flyers for your improv workshop, I mean, people would show up.
We're gonna strip it down. Then they would be incredibly disappointed. They'd be like,
maybe.
They'd be way too excited, or they'd be like, I got sold a bag of goods here.
They'd be disappointed, like that poor guy who thought he was coming to watch the broadcast and ended up being part of it for a brief shining moment.
Oh, that's true. Well, what is funny because it happens at Marketing Profs. I can say this because you'll appreciate it. So I'm doing my talk, and it's a probably about 2/3 full room. It's an active room. And so I set up the stuff in the beginning of what we're going to talk about. And I said, sound good? And everyone's like, yeah, sounds good. All right, get agreement. This is what we're going to do. Immediately, 2 guys get up and they leave. And I'm laughing. And
are you heckling them?
No,
excuse me, sir, where are you going?
No,
sir?
I should have.
You have to poop.
I wanted to. They left faster than a woman talking about menstruation. Like they left They ran for the door. But it's funny because people in the audience were laughing when they got up and left. And nobody was heckling.
Like trip over chairs and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
Nobody was heckling, but it goes to show you that I think when we discuss these kinds of issues, some people are not comfortable, but it's got to be dealt with. It's got to be dealt with. We're ignoring the biggest reason why people don't innovate, which isn't lack of know-how, lack of support.
It's team dynamics.
Team dynamics.
A great big mess anyway, all the time.
Huge mess. It's a huge damn mess. We can't fix it overnight. We can certainly make it better. And I believe there are ways to do that. And certainly, improv offers us a view, a lens into that because of all the creative stuff we have to do very quickly. And if we didn't have each other's support, the scene would fall apart.
Do you want to see what it looks like when you let people do whatever they want at a greeting card company? This is what it looks like. Can you see that? It's like,
I do.
It's supposed to be a thank you card. I saw this. I was like, what even is this? And so I had to buy it.
But it's kind of darn cute. Isn't it cute?
It is, but like, why are they're in ballerina outfits with like tiaras? Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying you can't be a dancer if you're chunky. That's fine. I didn't understand that, like, they have little shoes, like little ballet slippers. And I was just very like, I need to own this. I don't know when I'm going to send it to somebody. Maybe it'll be you. I don't know.
It's very cute. It's super cute.
But somebody had to be like, it would be awesome. We should take a picture of 2 chipmunks and dress them up like ballerinas. And they're like, I mean, somebody could easily have been like, where are we even going to get ballet slippers that small? You're an idiot.
Exactly.
But they didn't. They totally did it. They did.
And think how many brilliant ideas, though. I think what saddens me is that you think about so many crazy, crazy ideas, and yet crazy fun ideas that could be viable that never get executed on. Not only what a loss for the company, but what a loss for the people.
Such a loss.
I love that. See? And now here's the funny thing. How many inventions or really amazing things have a backstory where they almost didn't come into being because of this very issue? So when you think about all those lost ideas and opportunities, that's sad. But what's worse is when creative people feel stymied and they're doing their best innovation and coming up with all these ideas, but they can't get traction at work. They can't get support. They can't get people to have their backs. And at some point, then you get a team that's just like phoning it in. They're like, you know what? I'm sick.
Or, oh, that's such a great idea.
And exactly.
And they're never going to give you their best work on the execution because they don't really buy into ideas. Yeah.
They're holding out on you. And here's the problem. They're holding out on the company, which means they're saving their best ideas for other departments, other work, maybe leaving to go to a startup. And that's a lose-lose all the way around, man. That's what drives me nuts. And I understand that. And I understand why people get frustrated. And that's a real shame. That's a real shame. And more than that, people don't go to work so they can be, God, I can't wait to go to work today so I can have my boss say no to all my ideas. Like,
I haven't been reamed out in a while. That'd be nice.
You know what? Being screamed up one wall and down the other in front of my colleagues at work and being told how shitty my ideas are, that's my idea of a good day.
Yeah.
And
it's been a while.
Exactly. Everybody wants to be their best at work. And I think people walk around incredibly frustrated because they don't feel like they can be doing their best work.
It's not that hard. You have to make an effort not to be tone deaf too. Like somebody could put out an idea that, I mean, some ideas really are stupid, but it's like, all right, so you call them out. You don't have to jump on everybody, the very second they say something stupid. You could be like, that's very interesting. And let's think about, what that would do to the bottom line. Oh, it would cost $17 million.
Yeah.
Put that on the list for aspirational goals or whatever.
Exactly. And how many ideas, you're right, do have maybe a germ of viability and maybe not in the form they're immediately offered. Like maybe in the immediate form they're offered in, to your point, okay, you're thinking, that's a shitty idea. And it might be. And yet if you took the time to jumping point. You yes and me here, and then we yes and over here, and then maybe 5 or 6 iterations later, we end up with something really innovative. But we have dismissed that if we're so quick to dismiss an idea at the get-go.
Well, how about the segue? The segue really looks like a stupid idea, but
yes, it does.
But you know, it never like caught on. People don't run around on segways all the time.
No.
Most people don't, but the security industry uses them.
It's nichey. I've seen male folks sometimes use them. There are people that use them. Absolutely.
Now, if I'm being honest, if somebody had told me that idea, I would have been like, "That's wicked stupid." Like, I wouldn't even want that. But they do. They do. I will say that I saw Dean Kamen once get into an elevator on one, and it was like I thought that was super jerky.
Well, it's a little bit much. Although, so my husband works at NASA, and Steve Wozniak apparently comes. He will come to the campus in Mountain View, and everybody's like, "Hey, Woz," and you know he's Steve Wozniak, so he's like out there in his Segway. Yeah, he's out there in his Segway, and it's kind of cool. Well, here's the interesting thing. I mean, think about how many things from history people thought was a shitty idea. I mean, the whole FedEx itself started because a guy wrote a paper at Yale, and he got an F on his paper. The guy that started FedEx, and the professor's note was, "This is the worst idea I've ever heard. It will never work."
And he FedExed it back to him.
Exactly. FedEx is a Xerox photocopy of your butt.
F stands for F you.
Exactly. That exists. I mean, fast forward many years. Huge success. Southwest, started by Herb Kelleher. That's a crappy idea. Will never work. Most profitable airline consistently in the industry. So how many things maybe started out with somebody going, oh, okay, yeah. But you refine the idea and you find what's viable in that idea. And yet, you know, if we're only encouraging viable ideas, we're keeping people locked to playing it safe. And what we should be training people to do is to think differently. And we're not. We're so quick to shoot down ideas because maybe the immediate idea didn't work. Okay, but if we allow them to hone those muscles in the way that they're thinking, eventually, every squirrel's going to get a nut sometime.
Every squirrel. You get many, and then you can't fit into your tutu.
And then you can't fit into your tutu.
I had a book and I can't find it now. If you get a chance, look up Dave Burss's book, BIRSS, called How to Get to Great Ideas. And because he talks about getting past the obvious. And I think a lot of the teams you're talking about that get stuck, that refuse to consider new ideas or like conditioned not to voice them, they're never going to get past the obvious ideas. So they're never going to have anything really creative, you know, that adds value and like really makes a difference, because they're never going to get past those initial early ones.
They'll just have a cookie cutter template that they just over and over keep using the same shit different day. And there's no innovation because it's safe. They've played in this little box. And so I'm really tired of the discussion. I think we all are. I know I am, of okay, let's innovate, everybody. But you know, when people go to innovate, it's like, except not like that. I don't like your face. I don't like what you're wearing. Don't put yourself to work. But other than that, go innovate. Yay! Super duper. And people are like, what the F? I think that's my biggest pet peeve right now. And I see so many people that are so smart and teams so capable give up. And if you're not getting the best out of a team, chances are some of that dynamic is active right there. Yeah.
It's always leadership, though. I mean, really, when you get down to it, because any problems that are happening should be addressed by leadership, and leadership sets the tone and everything else. And that is a really difficult position to be in as an employee if the problem is leadership, because what are you going to do about it? You know,
well, sometimes the culture is just effed up too. Sometimes it's all the way. I mean, you know, shit rolls downhill.
Yeah. It's like, well, you know, I mean, as much as people want to be the monkey in the wrench, pain in the ass, fly in the ointment, nobody wants to be like, you know what, you guys are all doing it wrong, because you know, you might be on the hunt for a better culture sooner than you planned.
You know, when that kind of stuff is rife in a culture, it's a big wake up call for me, and it's a big red flag that there's something messed up in the culture across the board. And And you know, I've seen that, and we've all seen it. You've seen it. You go into a culture, and then you're like, well, shit, no wonder. Like people can't leave fast enough, and that's a real. It's damaging though, and yet you're never going to get anything better than the freedom that people feel to be creative and take the risks. So, what are the small risks? Make them feel safe. What's okay to risk take? Reward the risk taking, not just the getting it right, but reward the risk taking itself. How many times are people rewarded for taking risks? They're not. They're rewarded for getting things right. Well, what is right? What is right?
I read this book that Mitzi Perdue wrote about how Frank Perdue ran his business and stuff, and I talked to her about it. And she would, for marketing props, not like she and I talk on the phone or whatever all the time, but the chicken magnate's widow.
I'm talking to her right now.
I'm talking to her right now, right? So she's awesome. So she was talking about how he actually would recognize people's ideas, even if they didn't work. Like this guy that worked for Purdue in the factory had this revolutionary idea to change packaging so that you could fit more into the trucks and everything else and get stuff to people faster. And like it was a big success logistically, but people didn't like it because the packages looked smaller. And they're like, you're trying to screw me. Like they were really put off by it. So even though environmentally, logistically, cost-wise, it was a successful idea, they couldn't go with it because of just customer perception. And so he gave the guy some kind of prize, like the best worst idea or something. I can't remember, but the best bad idea, something like that. But he recognized and appreciated the attempt and the innovation. And he even supported, you know, the exploration of it. Even though ultimately it didn't work.
I love that idea. I think that's exactly it. And there's companies that celebrate those, and I love that. Like if you want to teach people to do that, like have a perfect example, worst best idea night, or we can say it because it's our show here. There's a thing called fucked up storytelling nights. And what they do is they talk about it was started by a woman in Mexico, and now they're licensed in Canada. There's a couple places in the United States. And what they do is they get entrepreneurs and people in corporate to tell their failure stories and to celebrate the failure stories, because we can all learn from it. And it is called fucked up storytelling, fucked up nights. Because it's really trying to take the stigma out of failing. And I think, you know, we see failure as such a bad thing. Is it? Can we learn from our mistakes? Is it possible?
Marketers have so many mistakes we could talk about.
All of them. We are literally walking mistakes, most marketers.
Oh man. There's this, I asked people that question one year again for like the year-end podcast episode or whatever, at like, what was your biggest failure? I didn't think I said failure. I think it's a mistake, biggest mistake. And Yuman Sang had talked about, he's like a chief marketing officer, and he had talked about how they at an agency got a whole bunch of like Wheaties boxes and put their clients' faces on them, like instead of famous athletes, like they put their clients on them, and if they thought it was like bitching or whatever, and people liked it and stuff, but then they got, you know, a letter, like a cease and desist letter, and so they had destroyed just like a butt ton of Wheaties boxes. But what impressed me and the reason it stuck with me was he wasn't like unhappy about it, and he didn't even say that he wouldn't do it again, because he was like, you know what, people remembered it, people liked it. You have to push the envelope sometimes to do something different. Yeah,
totally. I love that. One year I created for my clients their own pack of greeting cards, but I wrote the greeting cards for them, so it was my sense of humor. So it, you know, it'd be like, you know,
it once was a man from Nantucket.
That's crazy. So it might be like, if I knew their personality was really edgy, it might be something like, you know, hey, congratulations, happy holidays, and congratulations on that promotion, ... You're taking me out to lunch, right? I mean, you're the one making a lot of money, a shit ton of money, or whatever the thing, you know, it was. But I made these homemade cards with each of their personalities in mind. And I got so much positive feedback for that. And so, yeah, you're right. You have to do things differently. You have to try new things. And, you know,
and even if it doesn't work out the way you planned, that doesn't mean it's a failure.
No.
Not always. It's like a step, you know, towards something better.
It's always something better. I mean, and even if it didn't work out, to your point, either you learn from it, or maybe you made a tweak, and that one little tweak all of a sudden made the difference, right? It was the difference. I just want to see more. I want to see teams treat each other better. I want people to be happier. And I want people to, feel more creatively alive at work and to do their best work. And I want all that to happen. It just has to be, I think we just have to blow shit up.
So you don't want much.
Don't want much. I only want to, blow up the way.
I'm not asking for a lot. Just do like everything differently.
I just want to go in and like turn every company upside down, but that's okay. Exactly. And here's the thing. It really doesn't have to be, while I would like to go into big companies and blow shit up, I think at the small level, you can start to make changes at that team level. Start at your team level. Start with the way you work with other company departments. Start there. If you're fortunate enough to run a company, you have more choices. You can actually be part of the bigger change. So I think more is possible. But I really think that this is the single greatest impediment to creativity. And it's certainly the biggest thing that I'm seeing in the work that I do. Because it's comical. I promise you, almost every team. There's some teams that are highly functional, but almost every team, the executives have a very different understanding of how things are going, and the team's going, nope, that's not. I don't know where they're saying that. And what's blinding is that the executives are none the wiser about that gap. And how sad is that? That they don't know that gap is as wide as it is.
You can't afford to be that kind of
pathetic,
self-absorbed, like not look outward and see what's going on.
That's what's stunning to me. And how much of it isn't just that they don't know, it's that some of them don't want to know. They've not taken the time to go talk to the teams. I think this is all fixable stuff, right? They just never walk around and talk to the teams to find out, hey, how's that working? And it's too late at that point, too. That's the thing that's really hard, is that by then it's too late. If you've built an environment that doesn't trust each other, it's not like if you walk up to a team and go, so, everything going okay? It's not like they're going to tell you, you know what, thanks for asking. We really think you're an a-hole. It's just, it's too late by then.
Yeah, we all hate you guts, so.
We really hate you. Thanks for asking. Yeah, they're not going to tell you. And
thanks for ruining my life.
Exactly, Dad. I never want to see you again. I hate you. Yeah, I mean, it's too late by then. So I think these are the kinds of things that I think are just, gosh, if I could change the world, I would, start making people happier.
And it's not like people aren't willing to do hard work. I mean, my kid plays Fortnite for hours every week, freaking hours. And it's not fun. I hear him out there complaining about stuff. He was like, he'll say things, and I'm not even kidding. This is like a direct quote. He'll go, "What the hell? I just built this, and then some guy jumped out of a helicopter and shotgunned me in the face." And I'm like,
what the hell, man?
What?
Classic.
Why are you playing that? That sounds like it sucks. So people are willing to put in a lot of time into doing things that perhaps aren't pleasant, if they have the idea that the end result will be something worthwhile and good.
Yeah, no, I think that's such a really important point. People will wade through a lot of the yucky if they know there's an end game and a purpose to it. And if they feel like it's meaningful and it's going towards something better, people will put up with the pains in the butt. There's always inconveniences and small things. But when people don't feel valued and they don't feel their work matters and they don't feel like they're given any creative carte blanche, yeah, people disengage really quickly. And so people will go to the wall if the company says that we have your back. And if you fail, but you took a smart risk, and here's what a smart risk looks like, define it, people will go to the wall knowing that the company has their back. But you got to make it clear, because I think a lot of times, again, executives go, "Oh yeah, the employees know that we got it. We're in their corner." No, they really don't. They really don't. Because the last time somebody did something small, y'all wouldn't shut up about it. So how are they going to, if that's on the small stuff, how are you going to take the big risks? And these are the kinds of things that, I think for me, man, this is stuff that has got to change. So
I think this was an okay experiment for us.
It was. I mean, sure, I said shit and I said the F word.
You did.
I did.
And you won't even say it now. It's like, because that's the worst word. Like, shit's not as bad.
No. See, I laugh when people always put the asterisk and the pound sign like for shit. And I'm like, just say shit. Shit is shit. That's nothing. Like if shit is the worst thing you say in the day, like, you know, the people that won't put it. And I'm like, you know,
I
what?
say many, many more creative things than that in the course of a day. Just not publicly, normally.
Please, please. That is like the least of it. Well, and I think that's part of like why I liked so much this idea of like owning your screw ups, because, you know, if we take the stigma out of the language, people are more likely to own it. You know, let's stop getting all squeamish about it. It's not like we don't all walk around saying fuck. We all say it. So let's stop acting. Let's stop the pretense.
You would think people didn't though, because there'll be people who are like,
oh, collective.
Oh, no.
The pearl clutching.
My bonnet is askew. So scandalized.
Oh my word! The pearl clutching, and then all of a sudden it's like, really, 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 come on.
They need the fainting couch. I need the vapors.
Vapors. Oh my! Oh my! Do declare. Stop it.
I've been living in Nashville long enough to be Southern, I guess.
Woo, woo, Southern, the Southern heat.
Well, we did it. So people can find you, Kathy Klotz-Guest, at keepingithuman.com.
Yes, they can.
Mm-hmm.
They can.
And they can find me at the Marketing Profs podcast at marketingprofs.com. And I know on Twitter, you're Kathy Klotz-Guest, but on Instagram,
it's Klotz-Guest.
Yeah, is it Klotz-Guest? It's not even your first name. It's like just your last name.
Like it's like drop and give me 20, Klotz-Guest. Like I feel like I'm in the military on Instagram.
Yeah.
Hot. To the left, to the swipe, to the right. Hot, left.
Like my photo, Klotz-Guest.
Klotz-Guest. Come on, man. Drop and give me 20.
I didn't even bother. I just like I'm Kerry Gorgone everywhere, but like on like my handle for Twitter is Kerry Gorgone, because it's like it can't. And then the apostrophe problem is like a lot of letters and there's an apostrophe, and society's just like, no.
I got a hyphen in mine, and society has declared that my hyphen is irrelevant.
Irrelevant.
So apparently, exactly. Apparently my hyphen means nothing to them. So
they broke your hyphen.
They broke my hyphen, and we know what we were both thinking.
No, was not.
Okay, I was totally not thinking.
Stop it, Lordy Lord.
Oh my pearl. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to do this again sometime.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we will. All right, my friends.
Always fun.
You got it. It sure was. Bye.